So, for a review of Fantastic Four First Steps, it's directed by Matt Shackman. It stars Vanessa Kirby, Pedro Pascal, and some other actors. And the main villain in this one is Galactus and Silver Surfer. So, we have a female Silver Surfer, Shala Bal, played by Julia Garner. Uh, I have the detailed review later on, but if you want a quick review, it's like a 7 out of 10 for me. I watched it twice now. Uh, it's like a good film to watch on your TV if you have a large screen. I don't have a very large screen, but I found the color tone a bit dark. But yeah, that's what it is. They're going for that retro feel. So it's like a retro cool kind of look. Stories based in the 60s, but with like flying cars and things like that. The film balances a lot of elements like fan service and a lot of nods to the creators like Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and the cast of the original cast of the Roger Corman kind of Doom project from the 90s. And there's also few nods like the four made in the sky by Johnny Storm, Human Torch. I think it was in the 2005 FF film. There's like a lot of comic accurate things that are done. So the very first Fantastic Four film had sorry very first Fantastic Four comic had that mole man kind of monster uh, thing, and that is also given a nod in this film. They have tried to balance lot of things and create like a legacy for these characters, and this sets the ground running for the next big Marvel film that will be Avengers Doomsday. I don't know. It's called I think it's Avengers. I don't even know who are there in the Avengers anymore. But yeah, I certainly don't consider Thunderbolts as Avengers, new or old or any. Now to the detailed review of Fantastic Four First Steps. Now let's talk about Fantastic Four First Steps. So I've already spoken about Marvel films and what phase they are in. So I actually wanted to not like it. I was ready to not like it. I saw it one time, and then I was like, why is everyone talking good about the movie? And then I realized it's not as bad as the some of the other things Marvel has been doing. So in two movies, Captain America: Brave New World and Thunderbolts, both the movies they just messed up the climax. Like they basically showed a bad guy uh, and then calmed the bad guy down. So that happened both in Thunderbolts, and Thunderbolts was like obviously worse because it had like a group hug or something like that, and it had themes of depression and so on, like around superheroes. Apart from that, it had like other too many things that were wrong about it. But Brave New World was slightly better, but then it just had like Red Hulk appear for the last 10 minutes or so. So coming to Fantastic Four First Steps, one thing that like made me disinterested in it a bit was the cast. Like who's that? Gordon Gordito Alvarez, no, Pablo Pascal. So I was not really seeing Reed Richards in him. Now Reed Richards is a complex character to play. In fact, all of them are complex. Like it's tough to impress with a cast of the Fantastic Four, probably like ever. And Reed Richards is like the focal point of a Fantastic Four, either a book or a movie. And if you are not impressed with the actor playing that, then I don't think you may like it. So coming to the Fantastic Four movie, it's directed by Matt Shackman, who has made WandaVision, and he has directed a lot of TV. And he said that it's like a tribute to the classic Fantastic Four era of the 60s, like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and also later on John Byrne, and also taking influence from Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four kind of stories. So the influences are too many, and what they try to do is basically also reward the fans who have been following all these films through the years. So there is like nods to even like the Roger Corman movie from the 1990s. I don't think that movie came out. It was like a B movie. And then there is nods to like the 2005 and 2007's Fantastic Four movies. And this movie, the plot that they chose was of the Silver Surfer. So Silver Surfer acts like a herald for Galactus and threatens to end the world. So Galactus is mainly saying that he's asking the Fantastic Four to give that baby, like Franklin, it's called. and if they give sacrifice their baby, then uh, Galactus will sort of spare them, and Galactus says that this baby will be his heir, and then he would be like free of that whole hunger where he devours planet and so on. So the story that they picked was not that bad, but the problem is they choose few things. They choose few different things to show than the main story. So like almost for 40-50 minutes of the movie, we are seeing this whole baby, coming into the world. And there's like, normally, if you have such things in your film or story, you like give 5 or 10 minutes to it. But this seemed to be like the emotional core of the movie, and I was like not really that interested in seeing all that, so the major focus of this film is the baby. So it's like baby versus Galactus. So the baby Franklin, like for first of the movie, his baby is like coming to this world, and they choose to like do that in a spaceship, and it's like time dilation and so on. So like almost for 50 minutes or so this is happening, and then they come back to the earth, and then Galactus and this whole thing uh, happens, like the threat, and Silver Surfer is Shalabal, like the female Silver Surfer, which which is true to the comics, and I would say it was average, but the when I want to see like Silver Surfer, I need to first like the look of it. I still feel the 2007 film with Norin Rad was a better Silver Surfer than this one. In fact, if you look at the very like the complete look of the film, I know they have gone for this kind of a 90s 60s vibe, uh, but it looks really dark. I don't know if it's on the TV or so, but like the color toning is like towards the darker side. And I like the fact that they are trying different things with this. Like there is obviously like a lot of effort that shows into this film, like giving it that entire look, that vintage vibe, and getting things from that time period, which don't appear too forced. They all look like very organic. It feels like a vintage or a prestige production. But the thing is, Marvel has been really messing it up for almost 4 or 5 years now. Like I think Eternals was their big chance that came after Endgame. So probably if this film had come instead of Eternals, it would have been a different story and would have had a better reception. Also with Fantastic Four, there is lot of core elements to it. So there is like they are humans first and they are superheroes later, and there's this whole family concept. And it's like a very complex thing with films that work, with superhero films that work. Uh, there is no like formula where you can say I like the human element in this film. Like if I watch an Avengers film, I like their whole chemistry, and many other Marvel films that is there. They've just had 2 3 characters and you really feel connected to them. But the films that Marvel has been doing from the last 6 7 years is just not connecting at all. Especially, I mean, I'm just talking for myself obviously, but it's just not connecting. I don't like the cast, I don't like the actors. So I think last Marvel film that I just liked to a certain extent was the Shang-Chi film, because it was like fast moving and it was entertaining in a very old Marvel style. But after that, they've been just trying too many things, and obviously retiring their famous actors. And it's like, so I don't want to go into that whole rant about Marvel. So coming back to FF, so there is this thing about the baby, right? Like I think Disney is obsessed with babies with superpowers, or this whole baby and lead kind of dynamic. So when Reed Richards, Pablo Pascal is with the baby, it's like almost reminded of Mandalorian. Then another important aspect for any Fantastic Four story is that like Baxter building, right? Like that's the main thing that someone looks forward to. I didn't get a lot of that Baxter building feeling. Like how you typically look forward to like Stark Tower in an Iron Man story, but here you saw like intimate spaces and furniture and kitchen and so on, but you didn't get that grandeur of the Baxter building. Then there are, like I said, the time period specific things which are not that bad. Like you have those record players. So if they're listening to an audio clip, they'll actually put on a record and listen on that. And then coming to the cast again, like Reed Richards and Sue Storm was something that didn't work for me. Uh, like Reed Richards didn't really exude. He's socially awkward, all right, but it's not. He's not convincing enough as a superhero that one gets the impression of Reed Richards from following this franchise. Sue Storm equally. I don't know. It might come across as odd, but I look forward to like seeing Sue Storm as someone really pretty and beautiful and. I didn't get the impression here like she was always stressed, and that was the same case with Stu, with the Reed. So they look like a couple who's like always stressed and fighting, and uh, they lack that kind of charm, especially when you're basing that film in the 60s. So I just didn't like the tone of the lead cast for these characters, and they were always like too emotional also. Then coming to Galactus, like Galactus, I don't need to say that is something of a like a very big villain figure in comic books, and he sometimes like rebuilds a planet just so that he can eat it again. So and in this film he like appears few times, and is like I don't know how to describe it. It's like a instead of power cosmic, it was like the power sleepy or something, because just appears and orders Silver Surfer to whatever carry out his orders, and even when he appears to get the baby, it's like there's just few scenes of him actually fighting the FF, and like him stretching Reed Richards while he's crying or something, and then it just disappears with that. Like obviously it's a Marvel movie in the current day and age, so even though this film doesn't have many woke themes, they have to show like Sue Storm tackling the main villain. So she does her force field thing, and Galactus just disappears. And if you remember some of the earlier comics, like there was also a book like Earth X, that is also something that I'm reading currently. I found it for free on Kindle Unlimited, and they in that they show like Reed Richards defeating Galactus with a nullifier, but obviously nothing is here of that sort. The retro look, it's not just retro, it's like retro cool or retro futuristic, which was nice, like flying cars and things like that. Now coming to like how important this is for Marvel, this was really critical because it was like in Hush Voices, it was like expected as something which would do like a reawakening, or Marvel is back kind of thing, and it would lay the ground for Doomsday coming next year. But so in a way, it was like how Silver Surfer is like herald for Galactus. This was supposed to be a herald for like the Doomsday film that is coming. But I don't think that really happened. Even though this is a film which is like described as a one of the better superhero films that come this year. Some people even say it's better than Superman. I've not seen that film, but I think it's not that bad, and that's the best thing you can say about it. And the another thing Marvel has been doing rather awkwardly and in a cringe way is that they lay the ground for some characters, and in the next movie they give them an entry, like there should be a big applause around them, and that has been happening too many times, like rather awkwardly. So there was this Marvels film in which some characters appear and we are supposed to cheer for them, and hardly people knew who they were. So I'm imagining like the same kind of things will happen in Doomsday, where some characters will come from Thunderbolts, and I don't think like any Thunderbolts fan also might remember like all of those characters that were there in that weird film. And for certain will not cheer for a Johnny Storm from this First Steps movie if he appears in the Doomsday film. So I think the Doomsday film is just again resting on RDJ's shoulders, and I think he'll make it sail through. But that's just that Marvel hasn't done anything good, original, or really appealing or creative in the last 4 to 5 years. Also, I feel with the Fantastic Four universe, there is obviously a lot of characters, right? Like in this, there's a reference to Red Giant and the apes, and they show Mole Man as a character who's like a villain, and they becomes friendly later on. And that's the thing with Marvel; they all look at villains as something really cute, and their favorite thing is like showing a villain's backstory. So the current comic run they are doing with Doom, that's just like a build up for the Doomsday film next year. So there is a comic book that is currently on called One World Under Doom, and that is where like Doom is a sorcerer supreme, and then all these Marvel slate of heroes like work for Doom. And there was also a book release called Books of Doom after RDJ was announced as to play Dr. Doom in that film. So that book was like compiled, and I think some of it was written also by Ed Brubaker, and that again shows like Doom's lot of backstories. And Doom is supposed to be this mystical character from Latveria, and I think this book was released to give this entire satisfying experience and exhaustive thing like of I think five-parter trade paperback. So you can check it out. But I suspect like Marvel will try to show, and RDJ will kind of play those things like those emotional beats wherein he had like a very traumatic kind of origin story. So I think they'll definitely play that under this coming film. So in what ways like this film could have been better for me would be like if it was episodical, like if you're taking a 90 minute film, then you show me episodes, like you directly start with a confrontation with the villain. You show me a bit of like, I don't want to see an origin story, but if you're not showing me that, then you give me something else. And probably they could have followed that kind of episodic approach that comic books also follow, like show me two three major events. It's like those classic detective stories where you would see two three cases, and that also happens in the TV shows these days. But overall, as a comic book fan, the follower of Fantastic Four, I was not really entertained that much. Like all I got was like 50 minutes of like babies coming, and then the other 50 minutes is like baby's gonna die, baby's gonna die. So all that, and Galactus and Silver Surfer and probably Mole Man were just like relegated to the side. So in the end, talking about this book, I'm currently reading this book. So this is Jonathan Hickman's run, and it has obviously, I mean, in comic books you will have a lot of characters, so they can't come in the film. But it has like Mole Man, the High Evolutionary, who's an Eternal, and some cameos from Marvel characters like Hulk and Spider Man. It has talk about the Future Foundation. It has Namor. It has places talked about like Atlantis, Subterranea, and those kind of things are there. But it also has this very strong emotional uh, like portions where Reed Richards is talking to his son about how he has some like he had some childhood trauma, and that's what has made him so awkward. And so if you like Fantastic Four First Steps, do check out this book. I think I've recommended this earlier as well, but it'll definitely give you more kind of immersive experience than the film. And there's also a forward by Matt Shackman, uh, who's the director of this movie, and this is the kind of forward. So to like sum up, Fantastic Four First Steps is not a bad film. I would probably give it a 7 on 10. And there's a lot of little things that you catch on the second watch. Like there's a lot of effort that has gone in. They've also shown like Stanley and Jack Kirby, uh, kind of they factored them in, and they've also got that 90s cast in a cameo. Um, Unfortunately, the like lead couple didn't work for me, and there was too many of that whole babies coming, babies going kind of uh, focus that they had for this film. Other than that, it's an enjoyable film. You will get your typical Marvel elements in it, and the score is really good by Michael Giacchino, and obviously the mid-credit sequence is now everyone knows about it. So that was like probably the best scene of the film. So all set for Doomsday now, and good luck Marvel for another revival. By the way, sorry for calling Pedro Pascal as Pablo Pascal. I'm sure you could forgive me.